Hi everyone, my name's Alex Tooby. I'm an Instagram strategist and educator, and I teach online entrepreneurs how to use social media to promote their businesses. So you can find me at alextooby.com or Insta with Alex on Instagram.
Okay, so let's talk about stories in particular. 2019, what stories techniques have you seen that were overused or just won't work in 2020?
Sure. To be honest, there's not a whole lot that's not going to work because Instagram stories is so new right now that I think anything that you're doing and anything that you're putting on Instagram stories is of benefit. But one thing is, I'm not sure if you were aware, there was a series of Instagram stories bots that were happening. So people were basically buying mass views so that my profile would show up as having watched your story and a million other people's stories. And the goal was that you would see that, go to my profile and potentially engage with me or follow me, I should say. But Instagram obviously is very strict about their bot usage and automation, so they kind of shut that down quite quickly. I didn't personally use it. It's not really my strategy, but that strategy is no longer going to work in 2020. So otherwise, I think right now it's very exploratory. There's lots of things that you can try and see what works for you, and what works for one brand may not work for another, or vice versa. So it's hard to say what you shouldn't be doing right now.
Mm. What about all of the more and more people and companies are posting into stories, not nearly as many as are going to by the end of 2020. How do we compete against the other types of content in stories? There's endless parade of stories, right? How do
Sure.
we stand out?
Sure. Okay, so I have a list of 5 things, with the first one being branding. So obviously it's super important for your website and your social media and all your colors and your fonts and things like that to be consistent across all of your marketing platforms. So the same goes for Instagram stories. So what I recommend is actually creating an image with your brand color palette and saving that to your camera roll, and then actually importing that into your Instagram stories so that you can use the color picker to actually choose your brand colors for your text or any sort of drawing or extra elements that you add to your Instagram stories. And this is just going to help with cohesiveness across your brand. It's going to help with brand recognition. So I think that that's something that people should definitely be doing. Number 2 is consistency, which is pretty long-standing idea in marketing, is that you need to be consistent to get good results. So I think that you don't necessarily need to be posting 100 stories, but if you can post one story every single day and kind of stay top of mind with your audience, that's really going to help with standing out. Number 3 is using graphics, GIFs, and motion. So obviously you guys do this really well with Wave Video. Creating stories that have movement and have text kind of coming in and out and elements that are moving around is going to really help keep people's attention. Obviously, we have the attention span of nothing these days with, there's always so much happening on social media, and there's sidebars and there's other creators and something's always happening. So making sure that your story is stimulating enough for people to keep watching is really important. So I would stay away from just solid photos and stick more to video for stories for sure. Number 4 would be relevant behind the scenes. So as businesses, we often just put our best foot forward. We show our most polished content, and Instagram stories actually kind of gives you an opportunity to be a little bit less polished and show, more of the behind the scenes. But as I mentioned earlier, you want to make sure that it's relevant, but by giving users the opportunity to sort of look behind the front of your business and into how it actually functions and who's working there and, where you're sourcing your products and things like that is really going to help educate your audience on what your brand is really about. And that's going to build a strong connection, which kind of ties into all the rest of the things that's going to keep you top of mind and build your brand recognition. And then finally, number 5 is complementary text. So lots of times now, people are actually talking to their Instagram stories. So they're doing, face to camera video, and this is great. But oftentimes people won't have the audio on their phone, or maybe they're in a place where they can't turn the audio on. So if you're not adding text that actually describes what you're talking about, then people are going to swipe away if they can't listen to the audio. So I highly suggest that you add complimentary text to your Instagram stories to sort of help you stand out, help people absorb your content no matter where they are and whatever their circumstance is. And that's really going to help you with your 2020 Instagram story strategy.
What about mistakes? So what main mistakes should businesses avoid when creating stories?
Sure. Yeah. So again, as mentioned before, it's the biggest mistake is posting irrelevant content. So if your brand is about video, but you start telling us about what your kids are up to or what you're eating for dinner, people are going to unfollow. You have to remember that people followed you for the specific focus of your account. And when you start to stray from that, it negatively impacts you. So I think that it's hard, especially with people who like to be on video and like to do stories. There's basically, you can story anything, but that becomes a big mistake when you have a brand and you have a focus and sort of a reputation to stick to. So posting irrelevant content is the biggest mistake, but it's easily avoidable if you kind of are aware of that and cognizant of what you're truly doing on social media.
And my final question is, some people might look at, or some businesses might see stories as sort of an add-on, like a nice to have.
Okay.
Let's talk about ROI, like return on investment. How do I get the best return on investment from my Instagram stories as a business?
Sure. I mean, this is a great question because for me, I've been teaching Instagram for so long, and everyone really ultimately cares about how many followers they have. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if those followers aren't converting into anything. So my approach to Instagram is solely based on ROI and basically moving my audience from Instagram to my website where they can then be exposed to my email opt-ins or my paid products, basically be put into my marketing funnel. So for me, the goal is to get people from Instagram stories to my website. And the best way to do that is to use a consistent call to action in all of your stories. So no matter what you're posting, at the end of it, there should always be a call to action, whether that's to swipe up or click the link in my bio or even send me a DM, whatever you want your audience to do, you have to explicitly tell them. Otherwise, again, there's all these kinds of distractions that they might not follow through with what you wanted them to do. So the second thing is something that I do regularly, and I actually screen record the exact action that I want someone to take. So for example, if I want them to go to the link in my bio and then scroll down and then enter their email, I'll actually screen record that and upload that to Instagram stories. And it sort of just gives them a visual cue on what I'm supposed to do. And now they're familiar with the territory. So when they get to my website, they don't get distracted by something else. So I found that to be really helpful, and it's a really easy way to add motion and video to your stories while also getting the ROI of getting them to your website. And then finally, I always tell people to use arrows to visually direct people. So again, if you want someone to swipe up, you should have an arrow that goes up. If you want someone to click the profile picture in the top left-hand corner, have an arrow that points to that, or to the message box at the bottom of your Instagram story. So people need visual cues, and using arrows makes it super simple and easy to kind of get people to do what you want. But at the end of the day, it's all about getting people from Instagram to where your marketing funnel starts. So for me, that's my website. For someone else, it may be a different social platform, whatever. So it's kind of just about determining what you want them to do and making it extremely explicit in every way that you can to get that real ROI from Instagram stories.
Beautiful, fantastic, and very concrete advice. Thank you so much, Alex.
You're welcome. Thank you.